giungi, chi profanare dice il sacro loco, maledizioni, 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 maledizioni.
And we're live. Welcome. We're broadcasting live from the shadows of New York City. This is Music Matters with Jason Tramm, and we're so delighted that you can join us for our unique podcast community, where we explore the issues and challenges in the performing arts world as seen through the eyes of distinguished colleagues. And we're so glad that you can join us and be here with us. Please remember to subscribe to us on YouTube and hit that bell for the most up-to-date information on upcoming guests and topics. We have some really great guests coming up in the rest of this month, so you won't want to miss it. We added a whole slew of new artists all the way into May, so we're starting to lock those in. So check out on our website, and you can join our mailing list at www.jasontram.net. You can also see our past 90 episodes. This is actually our 91st episode, and today is a special day because we hit 800 subscribers on YouTube. We hit 1,500 subscribers, people liked our video, or liked our podcast on Facebook, and we are growing on Instagram and Twitter and all that fun stuff as well. So we're so delighted that you can join us, and we invite you to come and engage with the show. Remember that you could always chat in your questions to the artists who are on, and we love that, to have that open communication between artists and our audience. And here we go. We're delighted to welcome a world-class dramatic soprano on the rise who before pre-COVID was performing all over the country and the world. This is Michelle Johnson, and welcome, Michelle.
Thank you so much, Jason. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm so glad you can join us. And you know, it's crazy times for us all, but it's times like this to get together with artists that I'm so excited about, and I can't wait to hear your story.
Oh, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. I mean, these times are crazy, but you kind of go with the flow.
So what have you been doing these last 6 months? What's filled up a lot of your time, and what's some of the things you've learned on the way?
Well, I am a singer, so I've been trying to stay motivated, which has been it's been a little rough, but life continues to go. I am also a mother and a wife. And so I've had the pleasure of being home with my 5-year-old daughter, Liza, and she's a hoot and a half. And so she started kindergarten this year, and it's all via Zoom. And thank goodness for her teacher. Her teacher is incredible. I'm in awe of how independent these little people are. And they just go for it. And she loves school. And so she's an only child. So she really looks forward to school. And so it's not like she's awake before any of us are awake anyway. So she's ready to go. She picks her own clothes. It's interesting. But she's not going outside, so it doesn't matter. She can wear whatever she wants in the house.
Those teachers are certainly the unsung heroes these days. I teach university level, and boy, it's changed everything of how we approach art, how we engage with our students. So shout out to all teachers out there, especially, and I don't know how kindergarten teachers and elementary school teachers are finding ways to engage the students over that screen. And I'm amazed at the ones who are doing such great work.
Same. I was so, I didn't know what to expect, but they don't know any better. This is these COVID babies, this is what they know. This is their world. So they go with the flow. She's like, oh, wear a mask. Okay, great. I'll just put it on for like 18 hours. I'm like, what? you can't even get adults to wear it for like 20 minutes. So yeah, so this is what I've been pretty much doing. I started teaching way more. I've always loved teaching voice and always loved to share what I've learned throughout my journey with younger artists. And so I've had time to like really make connections with young artists and open that up. And I started working with some young ladies at Mary and Mercy Academy. Shout out to Mary and Mercy. So it's just been sort of just kind of getting back in the groove and kind of learning of what I want to do if I'm not singing. And it's been lovely. Lots of cooking and lots of eating and having fun.
What are some of your favorite dishes to cook?
I love anything. I love breads. I love baking. I truly adore baking. My husband is a fantastic cook. He is one of those people who can just like go in the kitchen and see like what's in our pantry and make a gourmet meal. I love recipes, so I will go on Pinterest and go on any recipe place, Google, and just put in sort of some ingredients and come up with it. We've had some hits, some things that are starting to be rotations, some curries and a lot of Asian influenced food. So I'm all about
We're
that.
huge Thai fans at my house. I've got 4 kids, and they all like the Thai food and the Indian food, and yeah,
Right.
we love it. And then there were these cross hits that are surprise. How about your daughter? Does she gravitate towards the interesting foods?
She does.
Wow.
We could give her no choice. She eats what we eat. We're like, if you're hungry, you're gonna eat it. You're gonna try it, okay? And so far so good. You know, sometimes she's like, all right, this is a little bit over my palate, but you know, she's very experimental, and she doesn't mind taking a risk here or there. What else? We've been doing quite a bit. We've had time to get our house organized, which was nice because we moved. We were in Michigan 3 years ago. Brian got his doctorate degree from Michigan State University. And so we were in Michigan. And so we moved back to the Philadelphia area. And yeah, we were still living out of boxes. So now we aren't.
Well, welcome back to Philly. Now, you have a history with Philadelphia that goes back a while, so tell us about your connection to the city.
I moved to Philadelphia in 2008 to attend the Academy of Vocal Arts here in Center City, Rittenhouse Square. And it's sort of one of those institutions that it makes you or it breaks you. And I wouldn't change anything. I have met some fantastic colleagues. My instructors there were fantastic. I am the artist that I am now because of Academy of Vocal Arts, and it introduced me to this fantastic city. I love Philadelphia. I'd love to live here. I love the East Coast, but you know, I didn't grow up here. I'm a Texas girl, originally from Houston, Texas, and my family is all down in Texas, and I'm the only one who left. And
Did you always know you wanted to be a singer?
no, I thought I would go into education. My family is, they're all teachers, they're all educators. And so I thought I was just gonna, you know, go in that line of education. But that wasn't in the plan. It wasn't until my senior year of high school that my voice teacher, I had always sang. You know, my father was a Baptist pastor, and I grew up in the church. And so I sang a lot of gospel music and always loved musical theater, did a lot of theater in school, a lot of straight theater, and then went into musical theater. But it wasn't until my senior year of high school that my voice teacher was like, you know, I think that you have something like special. Maybe you should consider auditioning for some music programs or maybe like a conservatory or something. I said, oh, okay, fine. Yeah, I'll give it a shot. And I did, and went to my first audition was New England Conservatory of Music in Boston. And I remember it was in February and it was freezing and it was snowing. My mother and I got off of the plane and there was this crisp air and just I saw my breath and it felt like home. I don't know how to explain it. I felt home and I did my audition and I it was confirmation because right after my audition, the faculty invited me to become a student there on scholarship, and I was like, "Yo, this is it, Ma! We found it!" And so that was it.
So being someone of faith, is it like that yellow brick road that once you start your path and you see where it's taking you, it just kind of your feet just moved that direction? Did you feel that way?
Yes, definitely. I'm a huge believer in um, just follow the breadcrumbs. I don't try to make things happen. I mean, of course I have ambitions and I want things in life and I have desires, but there is a certain time and I have faith and I know that things are going to happen for me when it's time. And I try not to go bananas. That's why COVID was nice. At first, I was sort of like, okay, I have to have a schedule. I have to do this. I have to do that. And then all of a sudden, I was just like, enjoy the present, enjoy your time, enjoy this time with your family, enjoy this time in your home, enjoy being slow, enjoy, kicking back and just kind of having time to read and not being like, I read and watch movies on the road, but there's something different about just, not having like that real schedule that is just like go, 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 go.
Getting off that hamster wheel for, the first couple months were like, wow, hamster wheel, then just grounding halt. Yeah, it's difficult to transition, but yeah, once you stop to appreciate those around you and that extra time, it was a silver lining I think, for everyone.
Very true. Very true. Unfortunately, we had some loss in our family, which was also, it gave me time to like process things and not have to put it on the back burner because I have to go do a show. It's one of those things that it was sort of one of the things that you don't wish to happen, but it does. And so I had the time to be in my feelings and feel what I needed to feel in order to be strong and to continue living. Yeah.
So important. So you went to New England Conservatory. You absorbed the Boston scene. What did you learn? What are some of the things you took from your time there?
Well, to be honest, I learned so much because I was a blank canvas. I didn't grow up with opera in my household. I grew up with symphonic work. I grew up with musical theater. I grew up with gospel. So I knew nothing of the classical singing world. So I had to learn languages. I had to learn repertoire. I had to really, learn my instrument as far as being a solo singer. In Texas, you have a lot of those big choirs like Texas All-State Choir and things like that. So those are huge.
Famous choir state for sure.
Right. It's huge. And I also played clarinet growing up. So like, it's like a band, another band state. It's huge. But the classical voice world, I knew nothing. So I was determined to not be left behind. And so I was always in the library. I was always in the listening library. I was always in the physical score library. I was very, very lucky to have such a small community that I could feel comfortable and just asking the most absurd questions that were absurd now, but I didn't know. I didn't know anything. So
It's only one way to learn is to roll up your sleeves and to immerse yourself in the art form. And it's amazing how much you can learn in those 4 years of undergraduate.
it's so true. So true. Boston was so good to me. They gave me so many different opportunities. And also, I had a larger instrument, but at the same time, Boston isn't known for like grand opera, at least like not these days. They're not known for grand opera. So I had to learn early music. I did a ton of early music and new music in Boston, and which was incredible to be able to
Great
go
for your
from-
ears and for your mind, and yes, fantastic.
Exactly. So that was my start was in Boston, and then from New England Conservatory, I went to Boston University's Opera Institute, and there is where I started to form my operatic, I guess that's where I really learned like stagecraft and what to do as a performer, as an opera singer, how to use your instrument and the body at the same time on the stage, and get some more repertoire. And I actually met my husband there as well.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
So what are some of the first roles you did?
My first role was Don Elvira in Don Giovanni, and that was only my second role ever. My first role was my senior year at New England Conservatory, which was Miss Jessel in Turn of the Screw. And then I went to Don Elvira again. Really, really, I had a little bit of Italian underneath my belt by that time. I had gone to study in Italy in the summer times. To be honest, I couldn't have done any of this without my family, because the support that they put behind me in this endeavor, we didn't know what we were doing. I didn't know what I was doing. My parents really didn't know what they were doing, but we were like, okay, just keep doing research and you're gonna get it. And so in the summertime, we would find places for me to continue to study. And so I did some Italian work, but that was my first year of sort of like going right out of undergrad into semi-professional work. And that's when I did Don Elvira, learning the language and singing all the recitative and things like that. So that was very tricky. I did The Czar has his photograph taken, Kurt Weill. Right? It's so random, to be honest.
He wrote so much music. It's interesting. I love Kurt Weill.
I know, me too. I am one of those people that I just, if you give it to me, I'll learn it. I'll learn it. I'll learn it and make it fit. I'll learn it and make it fit.
Well, that intellectual curiosity, I tell my undergraduates and my students that I work with, I'm like, you have to be hungry to learn to be good in this business. You have to always be learning. It's it's humbling, and you will always. But as long as you keep an open mind and an open intellect, you will get it.
That is so true. It is so true. That's all you need. That's all. You just have to have that hunger for learning. That's the main thing. And I've always been I've always been kind of studious, and I love school. I love learning. I love documentaries. I love like non-fictional things, although I love fiction
My
too,
children make fun of me
learning.
constantly because whenever I'm not doing music or now a podcast, I am watching a nature documentary or I'm watching a historical documentary, and they're like, who's watching alligators on YouTube? That would be Dad.
Guilty. Guilty. So I did a lot of random. I really didn't have any standard repertoire until I went to AVA, until I went to Academy of Vocal Arts. Literally, I remember my audition. I auditioned for AVA 3 times.
Wow.
3 times. This is how I know. I follow breadcrumbs. I know my path, and I go with my gut, and I just knew, and I never was upset because I kind of knew it wasn't my time. It's not my time. I wasn't ready. And then when I finally did my audition, and I knew, I was like, this is a year. This is it. Yeah, this is it. And they looked at my resume. I remember Maestro looked at my resume and was like, what is this? My repertoire was so random, just really, really random. Like Naked Virgin from like Moses and Aaron. And
every opera company wants to hear that on your 5 aria list, right?
right? Right? Yeah.
I saw Moses Aaron at the Met. My friend Chuck Reed was in the show there, and I was like, and I was in the. I met him. I love this story. We were at the cafeteria at the Met, and the cast for. The cast for Merry Widow was having lunch, and I happened to be sitting with them, and they were like, "The orchestra's been tuning for 3 hours." That made me laugh so hard.
If they only knew, okay.
So what do you have to say to young people about dealing with auditions and not getting the job and rejection, and how do you use that? How did you use that to motivate yourself?
Well, it fuels me. I am a big person who really believes that you learn from your not mistakes, but you learn from your situations. You learn from your situations, and I say, well, what can I do better, or what were they actually looking for? Or I'm not one to just be like, you're amazing, they just lost. They just no. I mean, come on now. Of course, I love my voice. I know what I'm worth. I know what I bring to the table, but there's always room for improvement. I mean, always. And one cannot just, you have to do the work. And I know I do the work. I love doing the work. I love to do like that nitty gritty, like really getting into scores and finding nuances and taking your time and doing things. But you have to be nice to yourself. You have to be patient with yourself, and you also need to also be confident and know what your strengths are, and be very truthful with yourself on things that you actually need to work on.
And it's true. There's always you can be reflective about that without being really hard on yourself or ridiculously hard on yourself. Some people get so bent out of shape. You have no control over sometimes the tenor who's already cast, the height of the person you're looking to cast. There's things you don't understand. Being on both sides of the aisle, I've had to make those decisions. And sometimes I'll hear a wonderful singer and I'll say, that's a voice for this project down the road, but not for this one right now because of these parameters. And you have no way as an artist walking into that room to know these things.
It would drive you nuts. It would drive you insane. And I refuse to be uncomfortable in my own being. So I, for that matter, will just say, well, take a breath, get back to the basics, and keep going. Keep going. Don't stop. Now, that's one thing I can say. Don't quit. Don't stop. If you know it's for you, if you want it, and if you want it badly enough, you'll continue to work, and you won't let mess throw you off.
A lesson from one of the top rising dramatic sopranos who's going to be on that stage. So thank you. That's really, we have younger listeners, and I always say, listen to these people who are out there doing it. And because you said twice you were not accepted to AVA, and the third time you were, and that was the difference.
Yes, that's the difference. I'm all about timing. It's about timing. If you're not ready, and if you just want it so badly and you're not ready, then what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? It's not going to be satisfying, and you're not going to have fun. So wait it out. I mean, don't wait forever, because clearly I do repertoire that people probably be like, really? Yes.
What is it about that repertoire that it's interesting? Like, it's always challenging undergrad masters, like a voice like yours that probably was always a large instrument and always had that potential. But casting, we're not going to be doing Verdi operas at the undergraduate level, or it's just not possible to get that experience. But what did you learn when you went to AVA? How did they assign you your roles, and what was it like that first year?
Oh, wow. The first year is eye-awakening. It is just, you think but then no, you don't really know the dedication that it takes to be a rounded artist, just not a singer. They are into making artists. And my first year, I was like, oh my goodness. I remember my first week. I was exhausted. I was not like vocally fatigued, but just like mentally, and my mentally fatigued, and my body was just like, girl, go lay down somewhere. Like have a nap. But it's sort of like just like athletics. You're just constantly taking your time to build, like guitarists, like building the callus, and just to kind of know when you can stretch and when you just kind of need to chill, and know your mental state, know your body, and know exactly how you work, because that's another thing where you're still getting to know people. You're still getting to know the coaches are getting to know how a singer works. The oh, that's my 5-year-old.
Why, hello.
Liza.
Aw.
And so you're getting to know yourself as sort of like, pre-professional, a going to be a professional. So you're learning to know how long it takes you to learn music. And that was one thing for me, was the amount of repertoire that was expected of you're just not learning one thing at a time. You're learning multiple languages, you're learning multiple styles, and it's up to you as a singer, because no one can get in your body and do it for you. You have to think for yourself, and you have to be a thinking singer. You have to be a thinking artist.
I've worked with so many AVA graduates over the years, and I have nothing but respect for Maestro Makatsaurus and for that crucible that they've built there. Because, boy, the singers that come out of AVA are always so rounded and polished, and they take that original voice and that talent, and they really mold that into an incredible artist at the end.
They really do. That's the goal. I mean, it's not for everyone, because it's a very intense program, and if it doesn't work with your personality, that's fine. It worked for me. That I learn in that type of atmosphere, in that put your head down and just go. That works for me. It doesn't work for everyone, and there are so many different programs out there in the world and in the States that cater to so many different people's thought processes. So AVA isn't for everyone, but it worked. Definitely, it was for me.
Well, it certainly has paid dividends, and you've been out there working in the regional and then rising up the ranks and some of the largest, most important dramatico spinto repertoire. So what's it been like tackling all these massive roles and in all these wonderful places?
It can, at first, I'm always like, okay, take your time. Are you ready to do it? Maybe not. I don't know. Let's see. And then when you can only see if you take that risk. And so I'm a risk taker, And so like I will get a score, and the first thing is just try not to compare yourself to, like the all-time greats for me. Say like Leontine Price or Maria Callas or any of the greats of the golden age. That's my people. I like that old school.
Me too.
Right? Me too. Yeah.
My maestro was Franco Corelli's pianist. I was the assistant conductor for Maestro Silipini, who was around all the greats of that era, and he was very close friends with Corelli. And we used to talk what a Italian sound is, an Italianate sound, and the essence of that. I was so blessed to be around that man, and that's the only way you learn, is by being around those old school people, to learn and absorb that kind of those words and those sounds.
It's so true. It's so true. It's interesting speaking to younger students and how they're starting out, and I say certain names and they don't even know them, and it drives me nuts. And I'm just like, okay, you need to YouTube this.
What an advantage these kids have, because if they do that, I tell my students all the time, like, I'm like, here's a list of names, every voice lesson. Here's some names. I want you to listen to these arias and just get the sounds in your head. Just listen for the language, listen for the phrasing, listen how different they are, the parameters. As a conductor, I always have. I'm a lot like you. I'm fearless and I'm a research fanatic. If there's a conductor I love, I've watched them conduct every symphony of Beethoven, every Brahms symphony. I just I love YouTube gives us the limitless research possibility.
Seriously, I know. So I
had to listen to records. I'm old. I had to take the records, put them on the thing.
I might look young, but I'm a record player and a cassette player, okay? And a VHS.
My 16-year-old brought home a stack of classical records. I got rid of, must have been like 1,000 operas I gave away to collectors because I used to collect them all the time. And I don't even have a record player anymore. So I gave them away. And now my son starts to bring recordings home again. I'm like, where are we going to put that? We have Spotify.
True. So true. So true. So I try not to be too hard on myself as far as these iconic roles, and I really strip them down and try to make them my own. And of course I listen to like the old school and try to have like, you know, a little bit of something in there from back in the day. But I really I love theater. I love acting. And so the character itself really helps me vocally, I think. And so I usually go in more with the emotion first. And then like I kind of have to tame myself in order to like line it up vocally. So.
How do you keep from getting overly emotional with these characters? I know you've done a lot of Aidas and Santuzzas and all these great dramatic blood and guts Italianate roles. How do you keep the technique in line with these incredibly high emotions?
Now, that has taken me a while. That's taken me a while to get under control. Because all you want to do is just like pour out like all of the emotion and it's in the music, and especially when you have the orchestra and you have that support and it just kind of like envelops you and like, oh, it's just so luscious. So I tend to think about singing sort of just like soaring instead of like always kind of like thrusting the voice with the emotion like behind it. It's almost it's you know how they have like that tenor cry?
Sure.
That tenor cry. I say it's like my tenor cry position, but it, you know, I'm a full lyric spinto or whatever. And all we do is cry and die. So one has to learn very early
in equal
on
measure.
Right. One has to learn early on how to keep your emotions at bay. And I tend to go more of you really go more for like the nuances in the text. You bring the text out more. I think that is also very helpful. And so you don't tear up the instrument.
Critical. I know as a conductor, you know, it's like steering a ship. You have to have the long range vision. You have to know where you're going and navigate by the stars or whatever, but you also have to avoid rocks that are right in front of you. So if you get so caught up in the grand scheme, you can lose the nuts and bolts. You know, and with opera, it's so much fun to conduct opera is that anything can happen. The curtain can be anything physically, something on stage, a malfunction. Who knows? I've been in a lot of touring production. Things are challenging. And I love that kind of energy and singers have different breath every night. And that's what I love about a conductor is I have to watch and listen to the singers breathe.
I love the connection that you feel. I mean, don't get me wrong. Okay, so it's wonderful to have the feel of the orchestra sort of like surrounding you, but the connection really is with the conductor. You know, if you and the conductor are off, it is going to be such a
long night.
Yeah, very strenuous long night. But when you are one with the conductor, it is just it's so easy and it just flows. And that's my hope for like every single endeavor I ever do, any show, any production. I always want to be on par with the conductor, and it's very important, very, very important.
We have our first question from the audience. This is Christine from Houston, Texas. And she asks, do you have a character who's the most like you that you've played? And what's it like playing different characters?
Oh, wow. That is an excellent question, Christine. Thank you. You know what character I love? I loved Mimi from Fanchula del West. I grew up with boys. I grew up with a lot of brothers, a lot of boy cousins, and she's just so down to earth and witty and wise, but very strong. I love that most of the characters that I play are very strong women, especially in Verdi. They have these really sort of like, you start off and you're very sweet and you're just like the daughter or the wife or the love interest, but by the end you are like heroic, you're going crazy by the end and you're so strong. And so I love characters like that. Another one who I love to sing is Aida. I do love to sing Aida. Aida is one of those roles that I think I will sing for the rest of my career. Which,
and you've told me that you've sung the most probably Aidas in your career so far.
So far, Aida has been the most productions and also the most shows, period, that I've sang. And she doesn't get easier; she just becomes different.
Isn't that interesting how perspective changes the more you do an opera? I've done 3 or 4 Aida productions, and it's like it's spaced out through my career. It's just like Verdi Requiem. I've done like 5 Verdi Requiems spaced out through my career. And every time I crack that score, and I can do that score from memory. That was one of the first big pieces I ever did. And I
can
studied it to death.
For the rest of my life and not sing one lick. Don't go on anybody, one lick of any other song, any other production, any operatic.
That blows my mind. Yeah. That blows my mind. Yeah, that piece is just so exciting. That last movement of the Verdi Requiem. It's an aria with a tremendous chorus with the a cappella ending to die for.
Seriously.
What is it about Verdi? And he had the perfect balance. He knew exactly how to write for a voice like yours, and it's just it's so thrilling how he envisions. This is late Verdi, and it's so exciting. There's so many of the same devices in Aida as are in the Verdi Requiem. They're written very close to each other, and you can see like how he was thinking. They each have 4 bassoons in the orchestra to give it a dark color. It's I just love the Verdi Requiem.
I know Verdi. I think is one of my all-time favorite. He's very difficult to sing. He is very challenging. He's very challenging to sing, but it is so rewarding at the end of the night. It's so rewarding. Even when you don't have like big, I know we were talking before broadcast was Falstaff. Falstaff is incredible. I mean, and
masterpiece.
Alice, I mean, she doesn't have one aria, but I absolutely adore singing that show. It's so fun. It's just, that's another very smart character. She's very smart. She's very determined. She's very strong. She's very intelligent. Verdi knew what to do. He just knew.
Question from the audience. Daniel from Delaware asks, have you sung Rusalka, Dvorak?
No, I haven't. I've played around with the aria before, but no, I haven't. That's one of those in the hopeful category.
Have you sung in Czech before? Have you done any of the Czech operas?
No, never. No Czech.
Gorgeous repertoire, isn't it?
Isn't it? It's
crazy hard language too, to me at least.
It's gorgeous though. It's so beautiful. Czech, Russian. I think I've done one Russian, and that was Zamfira from Aleppo. That was fun. That was nice. That was some
beautiful repertoire.
Yeah. Very
well,
nice.
When your voice is so Italianate in color as yours is, you're going to be doing a lot of that repertoire. But with your intellectual curiosity, I could see you branching into some fascinating repertoire.
I I am so down. I tell you, I love new music. I've done some very, very out there things. I haven't done it in a while. It's been a minute, more standard repertoire these days, but I'm so open to it. I love it. I love Strauss. My goodness. Talk about
I saw you recently did the four last songs.
I did.
What was that
I
like?
that was one of those milestones. I walked off the stage, and it's with one of my favorite conductors, Milanoff,
No,
Ross Milanoff.
wonderful, wonderful conductor.
Love Maestro Milanoff, and we work so well together. He knows my voice very well, and he knows when to push me and like kind of let me just kind of soar. But he really has been a great mentor, and I love working with him. But it's one of those milestones that as a young artist, I have been looking at these songs for, going on like 10, 15 years. And then finally you get a chance to perform them. I walked off stage and just bust out crying. It was so emotional, and I look forward to singing them again. That it's I've done it once. Okay, I've got that out of the way. Now it's time to like really get down to like the nitty-gritty and
I love asking artists, so what's it like with pieces you've done for a long time that have been in the repertoire for a while now? How does perspective and your life experiences change those pieces of music?
oh wow. It's interesting. The first time I sang Sor Angelica, I was in my 20s. Um, and no responsibilities really. Just Sor Angelica is such a heavy role, and the second time I did it, I was a new mother. I think my
Wow.
child was maybe a year, or no, she was a year, maybe like a year and a half, and wow, what a difference does that make? And the the feelings that you're able to bring up, the different colors and the emotions, and that you're able to I think about it and I get goosebumps, because when I was a 20-year-old, it's sort of like,
How
oh,
could
it's
you possibly
okay.
grasp that level of emotion, when you're 20 and you don't have a child of your own? And then I had the same conversation with Andrea Del Giudice, who used to do a lot of butterflies, and she's now a
Mhm.
wonderful voice teacher. And she talked about doing butterflies shortly after she gave birth and how that changed the role and how she was in tears every moment. She was rehearsing this piece and it was so different to her, even
It
though
was
she had
just
done
so
20 butterfly
heavy.
productions.
Right. It became so, it's heavier. It was so heavy, and almost to the point where I was exhausted mentally, just mentally exhausted from not, breaking down, totally breaking down at rehearsals and even during the show. And it's sort of like one of those things that, all right, is this production over yet?
Interesting. Yeah, it's amazing. You remember where you were when you died. I always, whenever I crack that score open, the last 4 years I've been doing a lot of traveling with the touring opera company, and I mark where I was when I performed, who was in the cast. And some of the books are getting pretty full, so I have to use the back of the cover, and I put in sheets now. But each one of those like a capsule of what I was doing, and then what my life was going through at the same time. And it's just fascinating to look back and just to think about the people you make music with and how things change.
So true. It's so true. I think Sor Angelica at the time, and my husband was doing. I was doing Sor Angelica, and my husband was doing Toreador, and so for us to be performing at the same time with the little one, it was really really interesting.
Now, how often do you two actually? This is Brian Major, a wonderful baritone. How often have you performed in the same cast, same night,
Not very often,
like a
actually.
lunar eclipse, I'd imagine?
Right, exactly. But the deal is, I actually enjoy working with him. I love working with him. We work well together, and I absolutely adore being on stage with him. We've done Don Giovanni together, and we have
Ooh.
also have done two Aidas, I believe, together. So that's always interesting for him to be
Putting it
my
out there to the
boss.
opera gods and the opera world, people who
I
listen to
know,
this
make
show
it
and who are
happen.
casting shows, think about that. Two wonderful artists, and put it out there.
Yeah, thanks.
One more question from the audience, and this is Jim from Long Island. What are some of the roles you haven't sung that you have on your dream list?
Oh wow. I would love to sing um Salome, Strauss Salome. I absolutely cannot wait. One day this is going to happen. I love Salome. What else? Let's see. Yeah, most of the roles that I've done, I'm pretty. I've hit a lot of them actually, but
They're all
Salome is
coming in.
brilliant.
Zalame is one of the I can, every time I've seen it, I'm just like, that's incredible that someone can. It blows my mind. That's for the soprano. It blows my mind.
It's huge. It's huge.
Shocking in its day. It was so shocking when they did that. And Dance of the Seven Veils, and I love it. I look forward to seeing you in that role down the road.
Oh, me too. Thanks, Jason.
Let's shift gears. And so, what are some of the innovations you've made personally during this COVID period? I know you've done some. I know you recently did a really beautiful release of Fedora with Teatro Graticello and my friend Stefanos Corneos and that wonderful company. And what are so in addition to like virtual concerts, what are some other things that you've taken away from this period?
So the project with Teatro Garacello was right on time. I mean, it was my first time doing a film version of an opera, and so that was so neat in itself. And as far as working with that company, it was incredible. And the outcome it came out pretty well. The other thing is that I am really loving teaching. I absolutely adore teaching, and I love teaching young singers.
What
I
age
ab-
range do you teach?
I love to go from high school up.
Oh,
I
that's
love to
very
go high
they're
school
very
up.
lucky to have you. That's fantastic. I love to hear singers who are out there doing great work who bring it back to young generations. It's so important.
It is so important. It is so important because um, they always say they've been trying to kill us off for so long, Jason. They've been saying, "Oh, classical music, it's dying, it's dying, it's
They've been
dying."
saying that since the Beethoven's time for sure.
Right?
Before
I mean, so it is up to us to continue to flourish and to get people loving classical music to be even if they don't end up being professionals, they will be the audience members, they will be donors, they will be people who appreciate it and will share it with the younger generation after them. So that's one of my biggest goals, is just to continue to show people that you don't have to. It's not for the elite. It's not for the rich. It's for everyone. Classical music is for everyone, and especially opera. Opera is for young people as well as more mature
how do we
people.
get the word? How do we keep opera current in this challenging time? And what do you think the next chapter will be for opera when it opens up?
I actually think this was a blessing. I mean, I have so many friends who have started, their um, I don't know, I don't want to call them like webinars, but in a way, some webinars, and to introduce um, classical music to people that had like no idea, using platforms such as Instagram and TikTok, and kind of collaborating with other genres as well to mix the two together in order for us to introduce two different genres to your prospective audience members. And I am just really, really open to using technology I am. I'm open to using technology. I love live theater and I cannot wait to get in the theater. Please open the theater as soon as they say it is safe for us to go out and be back in the theater. But because of the technology that we have been able to use during COVID, I think we have reached way more people that could have been intimidated just from not knowing anything about opera in itself or what they perceived it to be. That I love one of my favorite things that happens when we do have a show is the kids show, like sort of like a soft opening before our opening night dress rehearsal. And one of those things is just because most of the time I'm singing for kids that look like me. I'm singing for high schoolers and middle schoolers who look like me, who's never seen a black soprano on stage as like a leading lady. So it is wonderful for me to be able to share this gift that I didn't even really grow up with, that I didn't know anything about, and just to um, say that it's possible. If you're interested in something like this, don't be afraid of it. Just come learn a little bit of something, and you might find something that you love that you had no clue.
And there's room for everybody in this art form.
It truly is. It really, really is. There's a little bit of something for everyone. I mean, it's so many different little genres within the opera genre. I mean, you have the early music, you have your new music, you have the Puccini, you have the Verdi, you have the Strauss. I mean, it's so many different things, and it's a little bit of something for everybody.
And I think it's so important. We're seeing social justice as being such an important topic in opera companies across the country and eventually across the world. And I think it's making the art more relevant to everybody.
Very true. Very true. I think that it's been needing to be brought up, and I think we finally have the time that we're able to sit and really think and have the time to form our thoughts on what we expect and what we need, if things need to change in our business, and which things do need to change, and now we have the time to present them, and now it's up to the companies now to kind of change their thoughts and ways of doing things.
Well, thank you so much for joining us and for your conversation. And I know that with your appetite and your drive to perform, you're going to be on the great stages of the world as soon as it's safe to open up again. I can't wait for that to happen.
I'm so excited too, Jason. But for now, I'm chilling into due time.
Well, the time will come, and those theaters, and if human history has taught us anything, that after great tragedy and sorrow, we need art more than ever. And we need the culture and the arts to heal us, to bring us together as people, and to give us that catharsis so we can, find beauty in the world.
That's very true. Music definitely matters, and we always, that's the one thing that kind of brought us all together anyway during this hard time, is the entertainment. Music kept us going. Music kept us going virtually. It really did. I am so sorry.
That's okay. That was someone offering you the first Zalame.
Oh, great. Thanks. They heard me.
Your lips to God's ears.
Indeed.
Well, thank you, Michelle. And how can people find out more about you?
Well, you can reach out on my website at michellejohnsonsoprano.com or on Instagram at michellejohnsonsoprano.
Very easy. And thank you so much. And we look forward to seeing the next chapter unfold. And I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you for joining us on Music Matters. Please remember to subscribe to us on YouTube and hit the bell icon for the most up-to-date information and upcoming guests and topics. And like and share our videos. Join our mailing list at www.jasontramm.net. jstep.net. And we just added T-shirts to our collection, so if you'd like a T-shirt, you can get them on there. It's the first time we've done that, so thank you for helping us grow as a show, and we look forward to finding new and exciting voices like the one you heard today. This coming Thursday at 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, we have Kim Petrarca, who's an acclaimed singer-songwriter with, I think, 6 albums out there, and I look forward to hearing her perspective. Thank you very much, and remember, keep music alive. Good night.
Sempre